Hi everyone, I'm Chad Colby, and I wanted to give you a review on what I thought of Polaris's new buggy. Now I'm going to take a shot at the title of this. Are you ready? This is a 2021 Polaris Indy 850 Launch Edition in the new chassis. With great snow conditions in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois, I was fortunate enough to go put one of these through the paces, and I wanted to give you my opinion.
So I don't think I'm any different than you guys. I'm always checking out Polaris's website, and a mainstay for Polaris has been the Indy lineup of snowmobiles. And for 2021, you could get it in an XC, you get a VR1, you can get it in Switchback with Pro S or XCR, of course the Indy XCR, and they've got the XCs and the Axis chassis. But everybody's been talking about the new Matryx, and they should be, because this thing's a game changer if you're a Polaris fan. And, you know, what they've changed in that cockpit is such a big deal. And this 3D model, I hope, shares that a little bit with you. You know, remember, the console is 5 inches narrower, and it's 3 inches narrower at the knees. So when you get on this sled, it feels so different. So we're fortunate here lately to have some great snow in southern Wisconsin. So we put some aggressive shaper bars on the snowmobile just because we need it. Didn't have any time to throw some studs in it. Left the 137 track alone and grabbed a forklift, threw it in my truck, and away I went north. And the good part is I didn't have to go to Eagle River. I could just go to southern Wisconsin. You can see Leone's is located between Davenport and Chicago, right on Interstate 80. Been there as a Polaris dealer for 50 years, a long time. Great people if you've never been in there. Went up to New Glarus, Wisconsin. You can see it a little south and west of Madison. And spent the night. Next morning, it was time to go riding. And let me tell you, I was excited. I've been fortunate enough to race for about 20 years, been riding sleds. This is a crazy number, but for 45 years, if you count the little ones when I was a little guy. Topped this thing off with oil, and away we went. And, you know, one of the things that I do appreciate is all those opportunities here the last 20 years to ride other snowmobiles, especially new ones and different concepts in snowmobiles. Certainly the first 100 miles was break-in, right? I don't know how you break in your snowmobile, but I'm pretty gentle that first 50 miles. Let's make sure there's no problems, that, you know, no wide open throttle, nothing like that the first 50, on, off the throttle, nothing consistent. Then that 50 to 100, well, then I'm going to get on it some and make sure everything there is okay as well. And once you get over 100, it's go ride it. If you haven't seen Polaris's ride command, I want to show that to you. So this is that first 90 miles. This is the loop there after we left New Glarus and went south. Really cool stuff. If you haven't seen it, you can log in on your computer. You can download an app for your phone. They also have a flyover feature, which, I'm sorry, that's just cool. There's us heading south out of New Glarus. In that lower left corner, you can speed up how fast you want it to go. And then, of course, you can spin it around in 360 view, which is pretty slick. So if you haven't seen this, you know what? Check it out. I showed this to a bunch of guys during the weekend, and they were all downloading it. Most of them hadn't seen it at all, so it's pretty cool. Even some guys that weren't riding Polaris thought it was pretty cool, so that's kind of neat. I keep thinking how neat this would be out west, you know, after a good day of riding in the mountains, and I haven't been out there in a few years. I might have to be doing that again really soon. But tip of the cap to Polaris. This stuff really kind of originated in the ATV side. Now it's over on the snowmobile side of things, which is great. But getting back to testing this new sled, you know, being around the guys that are all riding Pro S's and XCRs and XCs, the biggest thing I noticed right away was the cockpit, the fit and finish of that cockpit. And I don't mean it more from what it looks like, and the sled does look amazing. I'm talking about functionality. Because that console is nearly 5 inches narrower and at your knees, remember it's 3 inches different there, you're just more mobile as a rider. You can get up easy, it's kind of effortless, and believe it or not, that 3 or 4 inches that you're more forward on the snowmobile and have the ability just to move just a little bit makes such a huge difference. Another thing that I cannot speak highly enough, and I'll show you a great example of that too, are the brakes. You'll see here in this segment here going through the kind of this tight little trail meeting some traffic. I'm just feathering that with my left finger. They also did a real good job enhancing the hand warmers and the thumb warmer. They call it smart warmer, so you can go in, change the temperature of each of the 3 settings, and that works really, really, really well. But the biggest thing I enjoyed were the brakes. I'll be the first to tell you, after racing sleds for 20 years, brakes is a huge deal in snowmobiling. You know, dragging a little brake, all those fun things that we do in racing really come to play with having a really solid braking system. You can see the new soft buttons there on the control block. And then let me show you this little demo of the brakes. You just grab that with your index finger. Look at how short the throw is. You're going to see a second video clip pop in. This is a 2021 850 XCR on the showroom. And you can see how much farther the lever goes. That is a huge deal. Back out on the trail, the first sled we swapped with, as far as me, you know, swapping snowmobiles, was my friend's Access with the Pro Ride rear skid. Now, I can tell you, I've been around the Rush platform when it started in 2010, and it's come a long, long way. There's a lot of snowmobiles in this group that you'll see later in this video that are riding that Pro S rear skid, and it does a great job. I can't speak highly enough from it. Especially if you're a taller guy. If you're a 6'5", 6'8" guy, it just gives you a lot of room because you sit up on it a little higher than a conventional snowmobile, and certainly you sit up on a little bit more than a Matryx. But I was pleasantly surprised that my choice between the two is absolutely the new Matryx chassis. We got back to the lodge that afternoon. A couple of the guys needed to leave and head back, and you know, I had a chance then to kind of shake down the new sled, and everything looked great. We're well over 100 miles now, so there was no restrictions as far as break-in goes, but I was still really surprised at how much I like this chassis. You know, not only is it warm, you've got great storage up there behind the message center, behind the display. The shock valving was not bad out of the box. I would like something a little bit more aggressive for me, but, you know, 3 guys or 4, I guess, rode it, and they all loved it. So, you know, no complaints about that. But we went back out on the trail, and I got another amazing surprise here you'll see in just a second. You know, lighting's always been an issue, and they finally hit one out of the park. They call it Night Blade, okay? And there's 6 projector beams in there, and as you can see right here, this thing is incredible. That light was easy outpowering the older model sitting next to it. But what a great first day. You know, 175 miles, even with break-in. But the next day, we got more snow, so that made things even more fun. So the guy that joined me, his name was Chad also. He had an 850 Assault, and we headed south, believe it or not, to northern Illinois to meet up with a big group of friends of mine. And let me tell you, we were the first people on the trail after a big snow, so it was a little choppy, which kind of brought a smile to my face, just to be honest with you. And what a great place to check out that new sled. And Chad drove it. He said the same thing. Everybody was really, really impressed with that sled. When I caught up with the group, they were just finishing breakfast, and we grabbed some fuel, and we had great trails. They were just a little rough because they hadn't been groomed, which I kind of liked. But rode with those guys that morning. Then we all stopped for lunch. There was, as you can tell, a big group of us. And the one gentleman who was in our group who I had lunch with said, "Hey, Chad, any way I can ride that?" And I said, "Sure." I said, what are you riding?" I wanted to make sure I was going to ride another Polaris. And he's like, "Well, I got an XCR." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, an XCR? Sign me up," right? My first XCR, by the way, was a 1992 440 XCR that came through Leone's. So I've been around the XCR game for a long time, and as a former cross-country racer, there's just nothing better than an XCR, and you can see it right there. It's a Switchback. It was an 800, and I'll be honest with you, right now getting on it, I was like, I know what to expect here in this sled. You know, a lot more aggressive shock package, crisp handling, all those great things an XCR is. What I didn't anticipate, and I really mean this, is how much more I like the Matryx chassis than the XCR even. I just like that ability to move around the sled. And I'm a littler guy. I'm 5'9", so on the Matryx with that center console, I think that was better for me. Certainly, I'd like some better shocks and some things, maybe a 129 in that track if we're going to make a perfect sled for Chad. But let me tell you, it was nice. And when we swapped sleds back, you know, that's the first thing this guy said is, oh my gosh, I like that sled. And that 850, that thing pulls, he said. So, you know, it was great. We had a great trip. Great chance to share that new technology with a lot of people, and I like that. You know, we put 320 miles and we had to leave a little early the second day, but it was great. My sled did not have the S7 dash. If you haven't seen it, that thing is amazing. You can see the temperatures, the settings there for the hand warmers, high, medium, low, which you can adjust. It's got GPS. It's got all the Ride Command Connect stuff between each other's snowmobile. All kinds of cool stuff. If you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to do so because it is absolutely the real deal. So is that. That is the Lock and Ride Flex system. So not only can you put bags on the back of the sled in various positions, you can add that 2-up seat, which I've got 2 young daughters, and one of them in particular is pretty excited about that for next year. And how about that mirror? A mirror that doesn't look ugly. Way to go, Polaris. Actually, that's pretty cool. You know, but for me personally, and I mentioned it earlier, I'm looking forward to 22. I hope they expand the Matryx line, you know, into the XCRs and maybe the RMKs. Give a guy like me some options for some more aggressive shocks like you see on this sled. That would make me smile, and I can't wait. But if you're on the fence and you're wondering about this new chassis, especially as 22 comes around, go for it. I can't say enough great things about it. Want to thank my friends at Leone's. Been buying sleds there since 1991. Great people. Just to remember to ride safe, everyone. Thanks for watching.